Good girl. Very good. Very good girl, Luna. This way. Very good. This way. Good. Sit. Yes. Good. Free. Very good. This way. Hi. This is a reference video for Luna and your practice. I would describe Luna's personality as shy but willing. So she tends to be generally shy, but she has it in her to do more. So if you encourage her, she becomes more and more confident. But when you emphasize on admonishing bad behavior, then you dampen her confidence more and more. So with her, the best approach to take is a lot of positive reinforcement, a lot of motivation, a lot of encouragement, and also a lot of patience. And that has worked out for us so far. So even when I try to pet her, she shutters her eyes a little bit, because there's still a little bit of nervousness. But she still stays exactly where she is. Her head stays there. She doesn't move because, at this point, she knows that nothing happens. But she's so used to that innate insecurity that, she can't help herself but to just be a little bit unsure. So with her, I always approach everything very gently, and I would encourage you to do exactly the same. So if you practice the right way, if you listen keenly to what I say in this tutorial, it will help you to be able to do that effectively. Otherwise, you may end up, having to be shouting at her and all that because you don't know other ways to stop certain behaviors and control them. And instead of helping her, the more you do that, the more she will just feel discouraged, and then she will shy away from you more and more. So I'm going to be taking you through step by step, a very basic routine that I would recommend you practice with her at least twice a week, or as much as 3 to 4 times a week. You need some breaks, so you don't need to do every single day. So first and foremost, always practice with her conscious of the fact that the leash and the collar have to be in play. So you hook the leash onto her collar, and then she registers immediately that she is back in class. So it's very important to practice with your leash, right? When you have her on the leash and you are taking her out of the kennel, even the short distance within your compound, make sure you walk her properly, right? So the way I demonstrate walking her in this video is exactly how you'd walk her when you take her out, whether you're in the house. As long as she's on the leash, you want to make sure that is how you're walking. You don't want to just leave it because you're in the compound, oh, let's go, and then you're doing it anyhow, feeling like if you go out, then you'll do the proper thing. No, you want to do the proper thing everywhere you are once the leash is on her. So when the leash is on her, you want this relationship. So now she's sat this way. I need us to be facing you. What do? I don't try to face you and then use this to turn her around. When I do that, all the movements she makes are behaviors she's learning. So I'm just teaching her to be awkward. So instead of doing that, I would stand by her. Now we're both facing this direction. I'll free her and let us walk. Free. Make a U-turn. With her on my side, this is how I want her to get used to walking. And then turn again to face you, and then I will put her into a sit. And then we sit perfectly. So if you notice, when I'm walking her, I hold a short leash and I hold a longer end in my other hand. I walk here on the left side because when you're walking on the road, oncoming traffic comes on your right side. So you want to be between your dog and the traffic. So it's good to always practice with her on your left. It's good to always practice with her on your left. Our security is doing their work. So what I'm going to do is just quickly demonstrate what that looks like, right? Free. Good. Good. This way. Very good. So this is exactly what I was doing at the beginning of the video. Yes, this way. Very good. Yes, very good. Good. Very good. Sit. Yes, very good. Let me just talk to Roscoe so that he knows everything is okay, and then we can continue. Free. Come. All right, Roscoe, it's okay. Good boy. As I was saying, now whenever you're practicing your walk, make sure she's on your left side. You have the shorter end of your leash in your left hand, the longer end in your right hand. Keep her on your side. Before you initiate a walk, you want to use a command, and the command is free. Free means, you can walk, you can just feel free. Free. Good. Very good. This way. Yes, very good. Very good. Now, if you observe, my hand is very relaxed. I'm not trying to pull. When there's tension, when I feel tension, instead of pulling, what I do is yank the collar. So if I'm walking, I want her to be the one doing the walking. I want her to be walking on her own volition. Good. This way. I don't want to be pulling her. I don't want to be the one who's forcing her to be on my side. I want her to just get used to that as normal behavior. So what happens is when she gets distracted, when something is pulling her to the other side, instead of pulling like this, you notice there's a lot of tension all the way. Instead of doing that, I want to keep it loose. And as soon as I feel like she's pulling away, I pop it like that. And then just get her attention back. If I feel like she's pulling away, I pop it. Get her attention back. Pop like that. So if you notice, the pop is a one-time thing. It's pop, pop. So you tighten and loosen immediately. You don't pop and keep it there. It's forward and back, pop, like that. Very good. So because we've practiced like that, she has generally become used to walking by my side. So I don't need to do all that. If you notice, the leash is loose. So when you're walking, the leash needs to be loose like this. When it's loose, then you know things are going well. You know you're doing the right thing. Pop. Good. Yes, very good. Very good. But as soon as it's tightening and then the tightness remains, then you know that you're doing the wrong thing. So immediately you feel that you pop, good. And then back to being loose. And then you keep walking. And then whenever you come to a stop, you use leash pressure, raise it, hold it. As soon as she sits, you release it. So that's the only time that you keep the tightness up. So you raise it when it tightens, you hold it until she sits. You don't put a lot of pressure, just a little bit. As soon as she sits, you release it. It's very important to use that approach to get her to sit when you're walking on the leash instead of the verbal command. Why? Because that is how she's going to learn the language of the leash as well. So in as much as you use verbal commands to communicate with her, when you're on the leash, you're taking a walk, especially outside where there are distractions and you can be talking, but her mind is elsewhere. It is the leash language that will help her to respond. So if you don't practice that with her, when you actually need it, it will not work because she wouldn't understand what's going on. You'll be pulling and nothing will be happening. So I practice that with her intentionally so that she gets used to it. So now I don't need to pull much. Free. I just need to raise it just a little. As soon as she feels some tension, she sits. Voila. But if you stop practicing, she will forget that. And then when you actually need it, when there are a lot of distractions and you're trying to get her attention, you will raise, you will pull, and then she will not be responding. So it's important to practice that as well. Free. Very good. Very good. Notice when I was moving, I didn't pull. I just said free, allowed her to move so that this remains loose. Good. Very good, girl. All right. So having done that, next thing on our list is practicing her name recall, just getting her to respond to her name. This is where we begin to communicate with verbal commands. And so this is where the treats become important. So for treats, I generally prefer chicken sausage, chopped up chicken sausage. So let me just show that to you real quick. So this is what that looks like. As you can see, dropped one. So the first thing I do is I give her one treat. Yes, very good. As soon as she gets a taste of that, I have more of her attention right afterwards. So what happens is I want to just observe her. She knows I have treats. So her urge to be closer to me is high, right? Let me leave that leash. Let me create space. Then I call, Luna. As soon as she moves, yes. When she gets here, she received the treats. What happens is when I say the name Luna, as soon as Luna makes a move to come to me, I have to mark it. And the marker is yes. So I have to mark at that moment. And then when she gets to me, I give her the treat, right? I can even mark again when she gets to me to let her understand that, yes, whenever I call you, I want you to come all the way to me. So it will look something like, Luna, yes. And when she gets here, yes, good girl, very good. And she gets the treat. She always gets the treat after the marker. Always gets the treat after the marker. Never before. Always gets the treat after the marker. So she will hear yes first, and then she will get the treat. So with a name recall, that is a simple way to practice. And that is the one thing that you don't need a leash necessarily to practice with. What you need to do is give her one treat to begin with. Leave her alone. Just be in your compound, be minding your own business. When you notice she's looking away, that's the best time to test her recall. So when she's busy, if she goes to sniff some plants or something and you notice her attention is away from you, then you intentionally call her. And as soon as she turns to come to you, Luna, yes. And then when she gets here, yes. Good, very good. You give her the treats. That is how you practice the recall. But now her recall is pretty good. So in most cases, she will respond. But you will notice different levels of distraction. So there will be some distractions that will be so intense that you will be calling and you will not be getting a response. And whenever that happens, it means that you need to practice some more. So you quickly grab some treats. And whilst those distractions are happening, perhaps she's playing with another dog or there are some sheep passing and she's so excited, you call very loud and clear once, and then you wait patiently. And then if she comes to you, as soon as she's coming, you mark. And when she gets to you, you reward. If you call once and she's still making a whole fuss and not paying attention, you walk straight to her and then get close enough to touch her. And when she turns around, give her a treat immediately. And then mark it yes. And then move away, call her. And when she comes to you, you mark it. I say that because I want you to avoid repeating yourself. So if she's distracted, don't be going, Luna, 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 come, Luna. No, just say Luna once. Very loud, very clear. And if Luna does not respond, it's not because she hasn't heard you. It's because her urge to follow her prey is higher than her urge to respond to you. So you want to move to her immediately and get the treats to her where she is. Let her know that, look, this is what I wanted to give you. I wanted to give you a reward. That's why I called. Then move away, call her once again. When she comes, you reward her. Move away until you get to your initial position. And then you reward her there whilst all of that racket is happening. That's how you go about that. Yes, very good. All right, so next thing you want to practice is the commands. So we'll start with sit. So before you do your sit, there is a technique that you need to practice. It's a very important technique, in as much as it's very simple or looks very simple. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky. And this technique is luring. So the act of luring your dog is simply about keeping a treat in your hand, securing it with your thumb so that it stays in your palm. If you just leave it in your palm, she can pick it up easily. So you want to just use your thumb to secure it. So it's going to be something like this. So you have the treat here, and then you simply use your thumb to secure it like that, just part of it so that most of the treat shows. Then you are going to use this to lure your dog. So I'm going to put it right next to her muzzle where she can literally taste it with her tongue, and then use that to move her. I'm going to turn her in a U-turn with that to face you. I'm going to raise it above her head slowly to get her to sit. And then I'm going to give it to her. No talking. I use the treat, I use my hand, and I use the technique called the lure to get her in this position. If I want her face to face, I'm going to do the same thing, get her face to face. When she gets here, I'm going to take this away upward, and then she's going to sit. Yes. And I reward. Now, this act is proof that your hand is a very powerful tool for conducting your dog. Because whilst you are training your dog, this hand is what supplies the treats, the rewards. So your dog is going to get used to paying a lot of attention to the hand. So if you practice and you master the art of luring, look how I don't move, but I'm able to move her around, turn her, we make a U-turn, and then we're both facing you. Yes, good. So if you practice that carefully, you'll be able to do it properly. Even this time, she went ahead of me a bit. So I didn't get it how I wanted to, in spite of my experience. So let me try that again. Very good. I stop her right here, and then I raise it, and then I hold it there. She sits, she gets the reward. So it takes practice to be able to do it so fluently. So in as much as it's simple, consciously practice it. Just keep your treats. Just move your dog around in ways that will make your relationship comfortable. Face to face like this is very comfortable. I want her right in my center, so my hand is in the center of my legs. And then I raise it up like that. She looks up until she sits. Yes, very good. That gesture is associated with sitting down for her. So now, whenever you want her to sit, you want to lower her straight to you so that she gets used to a very comfortable position so that you are face to face directly. It's one on one and it's not awkward. And then you give her the command as you do the gesture, as you take the treat away. So you don't lower her and then when she's nibbling, you say sit whilst the hand is still there. No, you say sit as you take the hand away. Sit, yes. And as soon as her bum touches the floor, you mark. Just the way you mark when she makes a move to come to you when you call, would sit as soon as her bum touches the floor. That's the moment, the precise moment to mark. You shouldn't delay it at all. That's how she knows the mark is associated with that exact behavior. So even if it's a side-by-side thing, if I lower her side by side, this time I say it as I raise it above her head, not to my face this time, but just above her head. Sit. And as soon as her bum, yes, and then she gets the treat. So that's how that works. So with the sit, I want you to get used to practicing face to face and side by side so that it forces you to practice the lowering as well. So you will call her face to face, come, and then sit, yes, and then she gets the treat. And then now you stay in that position facing that same direction and lower her, free, and then let her go to your side, behind you, turn inwards to let her make a U-turn. Stop her there, right beside you. Raise it above her head. Sit, yes. And then you reward. Now, in this relationship, there's a distance and it's a bit awkward. That is because, come. I'm going to do it this way so you can watch. Sit. Yes, good. So that happened because I didn't move my hand back enough. So sometimes in order to be able to move your hand backward enough, you need to just take one step back with one leg and keep the other leg pivoted. So the left leg doesn't move, just the right leg. So that I can create a lot of space to move her further back enough. So that when she makes a U-turn, there's enough space for her to walk all the way into the exact right position. Otherwise, if she's too close, I wouldn't have enough space to get it right. And she'll end up being pushed backward or being lowered too far in front. So it will be something like this. Free, I step back, make so much space, turn her around. Now she's turned, she's facing this direction. Now I can step back and move her forward. Yes, and then stop her here and sit. Yes. Now we're both facing you. Yes, very good. So that's what practicing the lower is going to look like. So same way, you raise it above her head as you say the command. She doesn't get here and you say sit while she's nibbling. You raise it and say sit as soon as she sits. Yes, then treat. So we'll do it quickly. This way. Come. Sit. Yes, and then treat. When we are forward, I raise the treat towards my face every single time. That way, not only does she sit facing me, she looks up at me. But when we're on the side, free, I just raise it above her head. Sit. So she's looking at the hand, this time not my face. Yes, and then reward. Because if I bring it to my face, it will force her to move. So I want her to stay here. Just raise it above her head. Sit, yes, and I reward. So you practice it face to face and side by side. Now, when she learns to sit, I make sure that I teach her to stay seated. So when she sits, I want her to remain. I encourage her by saying what she's done is good. So sit. Good girl. Sit properly. Yes, good. Good, sit. And then I leave her alone. By saying good, sit, I have reinforced the behavior. So she understands that what she's doing is good. Now, when she breaks away like this, the correction is simply no. As soon as I see the mistake, take her back to the same spot. Turn her into the same direction. Lower her into a sit without repeating the command, because you want her to get used to responding to one command. And then marking, yes. She wants to lie down, so I'm going to correct her real quick. Raise her up with a leash a bit so she's sitting properly. Yes, good, sit. Then I walk away again. So she didn't get any reward. Yes, when I get away from her, I mark. Then I walk back to her. If she's still seated, I mark again. Yes, and then she gets the reward. Good girl. And then I free her. Free? Yes, very good. So I'm going to do that again. Now with the staying, that is where you learn the principle of correction. So what I just demonstrated was a correction. And usually, the very first time that you practice the command at this stage, she's usually likely to get it wrong, just the first time. And if you notice, she didn't get it wrong immediately. It took a while, a little bit of confusion. She wasn't sure whether we're doing it or not. But after the correction, now she's sure. Sit. Yes. Good sit. So you just practice this a few times. When you get to your destination, you mark. Yes. And then you come back to her. And then you mark again. Yes. And reward. Good. Very good, girl. And then you free her. Free. Very good. So this time, what I did was we're both facing the camera when I walked away from her. This time, I'm going to do a face-to-face. And this time, when I'm walking away, I will turn around. Sit. Yes. Now I'll turn my back to her when I'm walking away. Good sit. When I get to my destination, I will mark. Yes. I'll mark because I've seen her still sitting and I'm happy. Yes. Good. And when I get to her, I'll mark again. Yes. Very good, girl. And then I'll free her. Free. Yes. Very good. So that is how stay works, right? That is how stay works. And as I said, if she makes a mistake and she breaks away from the position, you correct her simply by taking her to the exact same spot. So immediately she breaks away, no. And then you take her back to the same spot. Make sure she's facing the same direction. Put her back in a sit. Yes, good sit. Then you walk away again. And then if you walk to your destination and she's still sitting, you mark yes. And then you come back to her, yes, and you reward. Sometimes what you can do is when you get to your destination, you mark yes. And then you free her to come to you. Free. Yes. And then you reward. Even with the free, as soon as she breaks free, I mark yes. And when she gets to me, she gets the reward. So you practice this in the sit position. Then we go to the next thing, which is the down position. So with the down position, simply going to call her to me face to face, lure her face to face, sit. Yes. When she's sitting, I look at her and I point downward as I give the command. Down. And if she gets distracted, I just wait. Yes. And as soon as her elbows touch the floor, I mark yes and I reward. Right? Yes. Very good. So even though she got distracted by the barking outside, I just waited. I didn't repeat myself. So I waited with a gesture. So the hand is still pointed while I'm waiting. And as soon as she goes down and her elbows touch the ground, I mark yes and then I reward. And then I free her. Free. Yes. Very good. So we're going to do that one more time. Good girl. Sorry. Come. I'm going to lure her face to face. Sit. Yes. Very good. So when we are face to face, I just point and say it. Get her attention first. Down. Yes. And then reward. If she's looking elsewhere, that is a bad time to give a command. Make sure you give your command when your dog is looking at you. Free. So we're going to do that one more time. This time, I'm going to do it this way. Come. Good. Very good. This time, I'm going to just raise it, let her sit without me even telling her, so that she only hears one command, which is down. Yes. And then I reward. Notice how I wait until the elbow touches the ground. Even though she goes down to a point, I don't mark. I wait specifically for the elbows to touch, letting her understand that is the position. And then I mark. And just like in the sit, if I wanted to stay here, even if I move away from her, all I need to do is encourage it by saying good down. If you notice, even though I haven't moved yet, she's staying in the position because her learning has been in such a manner that she understands that if I sit down or I lie down, that is what I'm supposed to be doing until I am told otherwise. So it's not like I say down and because you've gone down, you've got your reward, you can get up and start walking away. You have to wait for me to tell you if it's okay to be free or not. So even if I move, I expect you to stay, but I'll encourage it by saying good down, good. And then I'll leave you. When I get to my destination, I turn around and I see that she's still there. I mark it, yes. And then I come back all the way to her. And then, yes, I reward her. Sorry, there you go. Very good girl. And then now I can free her. And it's very important to free your dog. Free. So after you do it once, it's very important to free her so that she understands that that command free is what actually lets me off the hook. If you don't get used to freeing her, she'll get frustrated. She'll be thinking that if I lie down, I'm never going to be allowed to be free. And then she'll start picking her own moments to free herself. And then she'll become a little bit disobedient in that aspect. So you want to make sure, after each attempt, you free her. And then when it gets better and better, now you can do like 2 or 3 in a row. So I'll demonstrate. Come. Good girl. Sit. Yes. Good. Good sit. I'm going to leave her in a sit this time. Yes. Good. She's still sitting. And then, yes. Good. And then I'll encourage her again. Good. Good sit. And leave her again a second time. Oh, she's still there. Good. Yes. Get back to her. Yes. Reward. Encourage her a third time. Good sit. Very good. Walk away. Turn. She's still there. Yes. Good. Then I come back to her. Yes. Very good. And then I free her. Free. Yes. Very good. And you can do the same thing in the down position. So I'll demonstrate in the down position as well. Good. Come here. Very good. All right, down. Yes. Good down. Leave her. Walk away. Okay, turn around. She's still there. Yes. Come back. Yes. Reward. Good down. Second encouragement. Turn around. She's still there. Yes. Come back all the way. She's still here. Yes. Very good. Good down. Third encouragement. Leave her. Walk away. Turn around. She's still there. Yes. Come to her and reward. Yes. Very good. This time, I'll deliberately free from away from her. I want her to also understand. I can even use come this time. All right, come. Yes. Very good. And then free her. Right? So this way you have a lot of control over your dog. So practice these things diligently. The entire routine will be very short. My talking has made it long, but this is like a 5-minute routine. So you practice name recall, practice sit, practice the lowering whilst you do the sit, lowering whilst you get her into a down, practice her staying in the sit and then staying in the down, right? And then a bonus that I taught her is simply to come, good girl. Very good. Sit. So when she sits down and she's in a sitting position, leave it. When you drop a treat, try to get it before she gets it off the floor. Otherwise, she'll get used to looking down whilst you're trying to get her attention. You see, she's looking down instead of looking up. So try to avoid dropping your treats because that's what happens, right? So I'm just going to pop the collar to get her attention back. This way. And then I'll lower her back. Come here. Very good. Sit. Yes, right? Hold on to the treat in my left hand. I use my right hand, put it right in front of her, and ask for a handshake by saying, hello. Yes! And then reward with the left hand. So with the hello, as soon as she gives me her paw, I grab it and I say yes immediately and then reward. Hello. Yes. Yes. And then reward. Very good. I'm going to do it one more time. Hello. Yes. And then reward, right? And free. Very good. And then one more bonus I added because I heard mommy mention it. It's usually not in the program, but then mommy mentioned, can you teach him to fetch? So my assistant and I managed to teach her to fetch. And we used the tennis ball to teach her. So she's used to fetching the tennis ball. So I'm going to demonstrate. So we've taught her to first of all be able to hold on to it. Come, sit. Good. Hold. Yes. To hold on to it and release it. Out. Yes. Very good. And then now I can let her fetch it. And because she knows how to hold and release it, now when she fetches it, she will not take it away. When she fetches, I'll just encourage her. She'll come back straight to me and then I can take it from her. Good. Ready? All right. Fetch. Yes. Yes. Good girl. Come here. Good girl. Very good. Good girl. Thank you. Good girl. Very good. There you go. So usually I prefer that she brings it and then I take it from her mouth, right? But when she drops it, I equally say thank you and then I reward her. If it's still in her mouth, I just say out. Out. Yes. And then when she releases it, I take it and then reward. When I say out, I don't pull. I wait for her to let go. Hold. Yes, good. Out. Yes. So she lets go. Yes. And then, so let me throw it this way. Fetch. Yes. Good. Come. Good girl. Sit. Yes. Out. Yes. Perfect. Very good. Good girl. All right. Excellent. And that's about it. That is about it. So these are the routines you can practice. With the fetching of the ball, it's your opportunity to exercise her. So when you're bored, take her out. Make sure that no distractions around, no other animals and stuff, just the two of you. And then you can play fetch with her a few times so she can run and burn her steam. So I hope this has been helpful. Practice this at least twice a week or 3 times a week, and you should be fine. Thank you. Luna, come. Come. This way. This way. Let's say bye-bye. Let's say bye-bye together. Good. Sit. Good. All right. Let's say bye-bye. Good girl. All right. Thank you. Oh, look at Luna. All right. Free. Good girl.